Hello and welcome to another episode of RHOX Garage. I'm your host Dan, and today we're going to be installing part number SEAT-931 on this 2014 Club Car Precedent. Before we get started, let's take a look at what comes with the kit and the tools we're going to need for the installation. When you first open up your kit, the first thing you're going to find is your foot plate. After that, you're going to find your rear seat back and bottom cushions. After your seat cushions, you're going to find your main seat back brackets, your horizontal support brackets, your vertical support brackets, and your rear seat back brackets. After that, you're going to find your handrails, your handrail extensions, your replacement top struts, your foot plate support brackets, your box of hardware, and lastly, we have our seat box itself. Tools we're going to need to perform this installation are a cordless impact gun, socket wrench with a T40, an 8mm, a 10mm, a 13mm, and a 17mm socket, a 13mm and a 17mm wrench, and then a 10mm, 13mm, 17mm ratcheting wrench, and also a Phillips head screwdriver. Now that we've taken a look at all the tools, let's go ahead and get started. Now before we get started with the installation, I want to go over a few safety precautions. Before we do any work on the cart, we want to make sure that we turn our key to the off position, we set our parking brake, and we turn our tow run switch to tow if we have one. Once you've completed that, we can go ahead and get started. Now our first step in the installation process is to disconnect our top from our top struts. After we've removed the bolts from the top struts, our next step is to remove the bolts holding the OE seat back cushion on and removing that seat back cushion from the cart. Once our seat back cushion is removed, we can go ahead and remove the 4 bolts that hold the SAM assembly to the cart and then the 2 bolts that hold the bracketry to the cart underneath the SAM assembly. Before we remove the SAM assembly from the cart, we need to remove the 2 bolts inside the SAM assembly that hold the top struts to the brackets underneath. Once the SAM assembly is removed, we're going to put a prop rod underneath of our top so that it doesn't fall down on us. Now that our SAM assembly is removed from the cart, our next 2 steps are to remove the 2 bolts at the top of the bag well on either side, and then after that we're going to attach our 2 vertical supports to the cart. Now before we attach our vertical supports to the cart, you'll notice that we'll have to drill out the 2 holes on either side of the bag well to accommodate the hardware. Now we're just going to test fit our hardware. Make sure that it fits through the hole, and it does. Now at this time we're just going to hand tighten our hardware. Now you may have to trim your underbody a little bit if it's getting in the way of you putting your bolt in. Now that your vertical supports are loosely attached to the cart, we're going to loosely attach the main seat back brackets. Now for these brackets, you want to make sure that the bracket for the seat back is facing the inside of the cart, and then to attach the bracket to the cart, you're just going to reuse your OE hardware. Now that our main seat back brackets are loosely installed, it's time to attach the horizontal support brackets. And again, we're just going to hand tighten our hardware at this time. Now that our horizontal supports are loosely installed, we're going to attach our new replacement top struts. Once the 2 lower bolts on the top struts are installed, we can go ahead and attach our top struts to the canopy, reusing the OE hardware. Now that our top struts are loosely installed, our next step is to install our foot plate. Now that our foot plate is loosely attached to the cart, our next step is to attach our seat back cushion to our seat box. Let me show you how that's done. Now before we attach our seat box to the cart, we're going to attach our rear seat back cushion to the box first. And we're going to do that by removing the 4 screws that are already in the box and loosely attaching our seat back brackets and then installing the seat back cushion. And again, we just want to hand tighten at this time so that we can still move the bracket around a little bit when we go to put the cushion on. Now once everything is loosely attached, we can go back through and tighten down all of our hardware. We want to make sure that we're only using hand tools. Now that your seat back cushion is attached to your seat box, our next step is to put it on the cart. Now, because this box is big and it's a little awkward to carry, you might want to grab somebody else to help you put it on the cart. Now, as I'm sure you noticed, getting those bolts through the holes and getting the nuts on those bolts was a little tricky, but just take your time and be patient with it, and eventually everything will line up. Now that our box is on the cart, our next step is to put our handrails and our handrail extensions into the box. Now when you're putting your handrail extension in, you want to make sure that the bend faces the outside of the cart. Now that our handrails and our handrail extensions are attached, our next step is to attach our footplate brackets. Now that our footplate brackets are loosely installed, our next step is to reinstall our OE seat back cushion reusing the OE hardware. Now that our OE seat cushion is reinstalled, it's time to go back through the entire kit and tighten down all of your hardware. Now that we've gone back through the entire cart and made sure that everything is tightened back down, our last step is to put the rear seat back cushion on the cart. Now we're going to do that by first removing the two tabs that hold the cushion in place when it's on the box. And after that, we're going to take the cushion and slide it onto the locking tabs. Then once the cushion is on the box, then we can replace our locking tabs. Now that our seat bottom cushion is installed on the cart, that'll complete the installation for part number SEAT-931 on this 2014 Club Car Precedent. Thanks for watching this episode of RHOX Garage, and I'll see you next time.